Darkcast Network. Welcome to the dark side of podcasting.
Hi, my name is Mallory Jenner Robinson. Join me on A Hateful Homicide, a true crime and investigative journalism podcast dedicated to telling the stories regarding the murders and hate crimes of our transgender, non-binary, intersex, and two-spirit community members in the United States and abroad. This is A Hateful Homicide.
Devil is on his way. Devil is on his way, motherfucker. The devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees. Devil is on his way. Fall to your knees. Devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees. Devil is on his way.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Mountain Murders.
I'm Heather.
And I'm Dylan.
Hey, Dylan.
Hey girl, what you doing?
Well, I'll be honest, I'm really tired today for some reason.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I don't know exactly why. Been doing homework this morning, took Rufus on a walk. Maybe it's just those afternoon doldrums. I'm a little sleepy.
It sounds like a good reason for a nap.
I know. Well, that's the thing. I'm trying to fight taking a nap because I know if I lie down, I'm going to end up sleeping for 3 or 4 hours. And then I'll wake up and it'll be dark and I'll wonder where my day went.
You know how long you'll sleep? As long as your body needs you to.
Well, that's what you tell me. Dylan, I would like to take a moment to remind our listeners, if you've ever thought about, contemplated joining us at patreon.com, now is a great time to do that because through the end of the month, through the end of February, which we're more than halfway through February, it's a short month, we have what we're calling the Sweetheart Deal on Patreon. So if you join for an annual membership, you get 15% off if you use the code word Sweetheart.
Wow, what a good deal.
It is a good deal.
And then you get Mountain Murders Patreon access for the whole year.
For the whole year. We've got so many episodes there. We've dropped a few new episodes this month. Love Gone Wrong. Love Hurts.
Ton of content that's been building up over for nearly 7 years now.
It's a long time.
That's a lot of content.
A lot of Dylan.
Yeah, there's a little Dylan over there.
People can't get enough of you, babe.
You know, I must warn people, I'm very professional. I'm really dry and, not silly at all on Patreon content.
Oh, I don't believe it.
All right, you just have to sneak behind the paywall and find out for yourself.
That's a damn line. You told it, Dylan.
So I can't wait to see what you have dug up for us this week.
Well, the last 2 episodes, we covered serial killer, I guess you could call him that, Paul Dennis Reed, the fast food killer in Nashville, Tennessee. And while we were in Tennessee, I thought we could cover another case.
You know, that will be some cost savings while we're over there. They'll save some fuel.
Well, I know. You're always thinking of the bottom line.
Yeah, and before we leave Tennessee, let's go ahead and do one more.
In this era of fiscal responsibility, let's make that happen. Are you ready?
I am.
Okay, let's get into this case, Dylan. Perry March was born to parents Arthur and Zipporah, the first of 3 children, on January 14th of 1961 in East Chicago, Indiana.
Zipporah. With a Z?
Yeah.
Wow, what a name.
It's a cool name, right? I was interested in the town East Chicago, Indiana.
It makes total sense.
Arthur's father had immigrated to the U.S. from Eastern Europe around 1900. Arthur was encouraged to attend college and learn a trade. He became a pharmacist. He did spend some time in the military. Perry's grandfather, through hard work, became a very wealthy man. Due to successful real estate deals, he owned several businesses, including a pharmacy, travel agency, and a bank.
Damn.
Do you just wake up one day and say, you know what, I think I'm going to start a bank?
Well, I don't know if it works like that, but I got to say his portfolio is diversified.
Maybe back in the day it was easier to start a bank.
Well, yeah, I've never even thought about how would you actually start a bank?
I don't know.
I mean, do you build it like a super cool looking building and put a vault in there and just see if people will come by and let you hold their money, and then you start lending it out?
Possibly. Makes sense. I don't know. Numbers make my head hurt.
You know what's the cool thing nowadays is the bank doesn't even have your money.
No, you went in there the other day. You were telling me to withdraw a large sum,
Right.
unfortunately, for car repair. And they were acting kind of funny about giving you this money.
Well, the amount I got, they had that on hand, but they literally, like, if you have some good savings or some, big numbers in your checking account, you have to make, appointment sometime weeks or days or weeks ahead of time if you wanted to get all that in cash so they can round it up. But
They don't like to hand over your money.
But when I was growing up, I just assumed everybody's money's back there in that cool looking vault.
That's what I thought as well.
That's not the way it works.
Maybe when we were kids it was like that.
Right.
Because you could have, it was like the bank robberies were happening, but maybe not so much nowadays.
Yeah, now if they rob the bank, they're not going to get a whole lot of money.
Someone who works at a bank is like rolling their eyes at us because we're stupid.
You don't understand how the system works, which I don't at all.
I don't. The Markoviches were one of the richest families in East Chicago. In 1956, Arthur changed his last name from Markovich to March. He claimed it was because the shorter name was easier to spell and not to conceal his Jewish heritage. It was during a trip to Israel that Arthur met Zipporah. Though Arthur was not rich, he earned a decent living. The family had a lake house in Michigan, which is always a luxury.
Well, yeah, you're rich. To me, you're rich.
I know, right?
If you have a lake house.
And they spent a lot of time there. By all accounts, the March children lived a comfortable life with loving parents. When Perry was 9 years old, his life was upended by tragedy. Zipporah March overdosed on barbiturates. According to her husband, Zipporah had sustained a head injury, and we have animals with the zoomies today.
Oh my God. See, they were not doing anything. We start recording, and all of a sudden it's Studio 54 in here.
Yes. So there's that moon with the big Coke spoon, and
Yeah.
apparently the cat's all coked up.
Damn.
So according to her husband, Zipporah had sustained a head injury, and the medication was prescribed as a painkiller. Arthur blamed his wife's death on an allergic reaction, likely to shield the fact that this was seemingly a suicide from his children.
Right.
And I get that. I mean, it's very hard to explain that to children.
Well,
Even if it was an accidental overdose. And that's the thing with drug overdoses. A lot of times it's hard to tell if this was just accidental or was it suicide.
Well, and that's just a difficult thing for families and loved ones to deal with, period. If they weren't openly depressed or, having a lot of problems or talking about self-harm, and then they do have some medicine, and the next thing you know, this tragic thing happens, you might even convince yourself that maybe it was just an accidental, ingesting too much or forgetting you took it. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I think a lot of family members are in denial when something like this happens.
Well, and yeah, I think that happens a whole lot because it's such a sad thing.
It's so sad. Arthur sold everything and moved the family to the lake house in Michigan. He was described as a very devoted father to each of his children. Even though Perry was Jewish, he attended La Lumiere School, a Catholic college preparatory high school. Chris Farley briefly attended that school as well, which I thought was interesting. Arthur wanted the best for his children, and Perry excelled academically while participating in various activities, including tennis, soccer, karate, and wrestling. He became a black belt in karate. He graduated with several varsity letters and had many university options. Ultimately, Perry chose the University University of Michigan, where he could save Arthur a significant amount of money because of the in-state tuition. Additionally, Perry was interested in the Chinese language, and the University of Michigan offered a renowned program in Chinese. Perry majored in Asian studies and became fluent in the Chinese language.
Well, you save your dad some money because of in-state tuition, but it's also it's a good university. So, I mean, it's kind of a win-win, right?
While at the university, Perry met Janet Levine through her roommate. However, Janet overslept and missed their first date, which was to be a trip to the campus synagogue for Rosh Hashanah services. When the couple finally got to go on their first date, their attraction was instant. Janet was born in 1963 to Lawrence and Carolyn Levine. Lawrence earned both undergraduate and law degrees from Michigan. He established a successful insurance defense practice and became a prominent attorney in Nashville, Tennessee, where the family finally settled down. Lawrence was actively involved in Nashville's Jewish community. Janet attended prestigious private schools, just like Perry had. She also had a passion for art and aspired to be a magazine illustrator. While in high school, Janet exhibited her work in Nashville restaurants and at the Jewish Community Center. She studied at the University School of Nashville, where she was vice president of her class, and then she was accepted into the University of Michigan. Friends described Janet as embodying stereotypes of an artist. She was late, forgetful, and impulsive. Like, she would just take these spur-of-the-moment shopping trips to Chicago without any notice.
Oh.
Just on a whim.
I'm gone.
Yep.
Going to the big city.
Janet was also said to have a bit of a temper when angered. After graduating, Perry accepted a futures broker position with Oppenheimer and Company in Chicago. And that's Chicago, Illinois,
not East Chicago.
Indiana, yeah. 6 months later, Janet moved with him and took classes at the Art Institute. Janet felt homesick after 2 years in the Windy City, so she asked her father to help cover the costs for Perry to attend Vanderbilt University for law school, which is ranked among the top 20 law schools in the country. Expensive, hard to get into, really good school.
So it's kind of a big deal.
It's kind of a big deal.
Okay.
Yeah. Lawrence, who thought well of Perry, agreed to pay for his tuition and expenses, anticipating that his daughter one day would marry this young man. Perry accepted the Levine's generosity. It wasn't until 1987 that the couple finally married. Janet had hoped for years that Perry would propose, but he never did. Finally, Janet, being a modern woman, Dylan, proposed to him.
So he's just cashing daddy's checks, handling business for an extended period of time, huh?
Sounds like it.
Okay.
Sounds like it. Lawrence and Carolyn spoiled their only daughter, and now that she was married, they wanted to do everything possible to ensure she had a happy and comfortable life. Perry had grown close to Carolyn Levine, likely due to her nurturing nature. The Levines gifted Janet and Perry money to purchase a house on 32nd Avenue. It's been also said that Perry kind of took up with Carolyn almost as like a replacement mother for the one he missed growing up.
Where do you get parents like this?
I don't know. I'm so sorry you didn't marry into this kind of family.
Do you guys need a college education or at a renowned school or house or,
Yeah.
a car?
A can of soup. Something.
You wish you got a can of soup.
I could eat some soup right now. I always love a good hot bowl of soup. Even in the summer, I'm like somebody's grandma. I love soup.
I think longtime listeners are well aware of your fondness of a hot boiled soup.
God, I love a good soup.
Even your descriptive words for soup are something to behold.
Savory, hearty,
Yes.
slurpy.
I like to go.
God.
Let me get some of that soup.
Why do you have to make everything gross?
That's how you sound when you eat the soup with your big soup spoon and your big soup bowl.
I need a big old piece of bread to sop up my soup.
Yeah, she's like, should we get a crust?
Do you think people who live in places like New York City and California know about sopping stuff up?
Look,
Like you sopping stuff up with a biscuit or a piece of bread out there? I need to know. Or is that strictly like a southern country kind of phrase?
I'm gonna guess that they've been known to sop, but they were unaware that they were indeed sopping.
If sopping is a word that kind of crosses many cultures.
No, I'm gonna venture a guess they do not call it sopping. They'll be like, I dipped my bread in my soup, or I don't know.
Maybe they soaked it up.
Yeah, no, you gotta sop it.
Gotta sop it. All right. During this time, Perry became worried about Arthur's financial situation. Arthur had fallen on some hard times. His mortgage was suffering on the lake house up in Michigan, and he was facing foreclosure. Lawrence intervened and bought the property from the mortgage company. He kind of swooped in.
Yeah.
He permitted Arthur to continue living there until he could get back on his feet. However, Arthur's lease was terminated because he couldn't keep up with his rent payments. In 1988, Lawrence sold the house, making about $30,000 off the sale. Arthur moved to Nashville to, be closer to Perry and his new wife. He stayed with the Levines, and Lawrence loaned him money to start a business there. By 1991, Arthur had filed for bankruptcy. Arthur had served in the military and told people in Nashville that he had been a retired full colonel. He retired with the full bird, Dylan.
Wow.
But the truth is, and he was a Green Beret. He would tell people that. But the truth is, his service records contradicted these claims. I think he retired as a lieutenant colonel. But he's just kind of exaggerating.
Yeah, I've never understood why people, I guess lieutenant colonel's nothing to, that's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
I don't know about ranks, but,
It's nothing to sneeze at, and
right.
I just don't understand why you wouldn't just be proud of your accomplishments. Why do you need to embellish those?
I was a 16-star general.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I was over a whole big part of it.
I'm admiral of all the fleets.
All the fleets?
All the fleets.
In the world?
All of them.
Damn.
Every one of them.
Every
damn one of them, Dylan.
They all answer to me.
So when I board the ship, I want somebody to blow a little whistle and be there. Admiral of all the fleets arriving. Later, Arthur would make plans to move to Mexico.
Okay. A little change of scenery.
Yeah, most def.
Maybe he can go down there and screw something
Maybe
up.
he can go down there and bankrupt some other people. Perry excelled at Vanderbilt just as everyone expected. He made it onto Vanderbilt's prestigious law review and upon graduation accepted a position at a prominent Nashville firm. In 1988, Perry became the first Jewish attorney hired at Bass, Berry & Sims. That same year, the firm also hired its first African-American attorney. It seemed that Bass, Berry & Sims was finally getting with the times.
Yeah, I could tell you by the names that they did not have any Jewish lawyers there before.
Yeah, you could tell.
Bass, Berry, and Sims.
It's like the most waspy law firm in the city.
Very.
Now, it seemed to everyone at the firm that Perry was on the fast track to becoming a partner. Just 3 years later, Perry would be asked to leave in disgrace. Get this, Dylan. Perry had written a series of sexually explicit letters to a young female paralegal.
Dude.
The anonymous letters written by this secret admirer described a desire to perform oral sex on her for extended periods of time.
What? Some long-winded oral sexes?
Girl, I can't wait to do your dishes for some hours.
Now, all that schooling, that's the best he could come up with to describe that?
The writer praised her body. Like, damn, girl, you got a CDL? How you back up that dump truck?
Yeah, damn.
You know how to compliment a woman? He also indicated he was married and wished to pursue an extramarital affair with the woman. An internal investigation was launched. A video camera was set up to try to snuff out this letter writer, and they were able to reveal that Perry was the letter writer. He is the office Romeo.
So he goes from fast track to partner to being disgraced and losing everything as far as his career goes, all over some dirty or naughty letters to a paralegal.
Yeah. He was forced to quit. He also agreed to pay the woman $25,000 over the next 4 years to avoid a sexual harassment lawsuit. He would keep these payments secret from his wife.
Of course he would.
That's a lot.
And be like, what's this hush money payment that keeps coming up in the checkbook?
This incident would mark the beginning of a professional and personal downfall for Perry. After leaving Bass, Berry & Sims, Perry took a position as a corporate lawyer at the firm where Lawrence Levine was a senior partner. Levine, Matson, Orr, and Garricotti was a smaller firm than the previous one where Perry had worked, and although Perry had nowhere else to go, he would frame the move
as a good one.
Well, I was going to say, because he can't admit what really happened, as strategic. The smaller firm provided him the freedom to pursue his own legal interests.
Oh, that makes sense. You went to a smaller, less powerful, less wealthy firm, so you could...
So he could be like James Brown and be like, I'm going to do my thing.
So he wanted to be the big fish in the little pond.
Sure.
Right, yeah.
If that's what you want to tell yourself, go for it.
I've never had a problem of being a little fish in a big pond. You know what I'm saying? Because then you got more pond to check out.
Okay.
You get to explore it.
Just go swim over here.
Yeah, be like, what's over here? I ain't never been over here.
Oh, shit, a shark. Ah.
Oh, God, there's a shark in a freshwater pond. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, when I was a kid, I believed that could be true. Perry was successful at his father-in-law's law firm. He had several clients, including the Music City Mix Factory, a strip club, and several prominent wealthy Nashvillians.
Did you say CNC Music Factory?
The Music City Mix Factory.
Oh, yeah. That's not the same group.
Things that make you go,
That's not the
Dylan. You make me go, every day. In 1990, Perry and Janet welcomed a son, Samson, known as Sammy, and in 1994, they would have a daughter named Zipporah. Perry and Janet began going to marriage counseling due to some ongoing issues. In 1993, Perry confessed to his mother-in-law that there were problems in the marriage. Janet had continued pursuing art. She didn't confide in friends about the marital troubles, but they noted she seemed kind of aloof and depressed. Like they knew something was wrong, but she wasn't really telling them, I guess, her personal problems. After the birth of their daughter, Perry and Janet planned to build their dream home, a 5,300 square foot French style house in the exclusive Forest Hills neighborhood. That's a lot of house.
That's a big house.
Janet would design the house. Despite the fact that Janet did not appear happy in the marriage, Lawrence and Carolyn raised funds to finance the house because, again, this is their baby girl, their only daughter. They're going to do what they can to make her happy.
If she wants a castle, she gets a castle.
Yes. If she wants a pony, we're getting her a damn pony. Janet had come to realize that Perry was not very responsible with money. She informed her parents that she didn't trust him and that he had poorly managed their finances. Lawrence Levine advised his daughter to keep all her assets under her own name. If she filed for divorce at some point in the future, this move would protect her. Because Janet is an illustrator for children's books.
Oh, okay.
And she's making and selling art, getting freelance work. So she's kind of got her own money coming in.
Okay.
By 33, Janet was an accomplished artist and children's book illustrator, as I mentioned. The home she designed sat on 4 acres on Blackberry Road in this very upscale, posh area. The Marches employed a Russian nanny part-time who adored the children. Sammy and Zipporah were healthy, happy kids, and when the children weren't with their nanny, they spent a lot of time with Janet's parents. Perry and Janet had plenty of free time to socialize. The couple had a circle of friends, including many thriving young Jewish couples in Nashville. From the outside, the Marches seemed to have everything, at least like materially. The couple continued to have marital problems, but they always took their arguments outside onto the deck of their home so that the children would not hear, especially if things escalated to yelling or shouting. Perry was known for having a short fuse. Janet was also hot-tempered and could easily be triggered. So this doesn't sound like a good mix when you have two hot-tempered individuals and they're having problems.
No, it's not gonna work out good, because when you have two hot-tempered people, or people who want to escalate the situation and kind of, take it to the next level, it's always good for one of the two to not be hot-tempered, obviously, and to kind of not engage, because you have someone who gets all worked up. When you engage with them directly or very strongly, it only makes it worse. You know what I mean? It kind of.
I agree.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know, baby. That's why you're like the sweet, quiet one.
That's why me and you work.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, because
I need somebody to temper this flame, baby.
Yeah, because I'm cool.
Sure.
I'm like aloe vera.
Yeah.
Just like it. Just rub me all over you. I'm gonna be a little sticky. I was not trying to work sticky in there, but everybody knows when you rub aloe vera on you, there's a bit of a residue left over.
We're going to make a Dylan bingo card, and we're going to have the word sticky on the bingo card like 4 times.
I was not trying to work it in. I'm
going to release this bingo card for folks to play along at home.
That was purely organic.
All right.
I'm sorry.
August 15th of 1996 in Nashville, Tennessee was noted for its hot and humid weather, making it
hot and sticky.
Sticky.
Yeah.
Sticky, Dylan.
Man, when the humidity's
and
high,
uncomfortable.
I gotta say, hot and humid really sucks.
Yeah.
It's miserable.
It does.
Because the sweat doesn't evaporate. Therefore, you don't get cooled off. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing.
You know what I
with
hate
sweat.
kind of even worse than it's just like hot and humid? When it's hot, humid, and then it rains.
Oh.
And because then it's almost like this suffocating feeling.
Yeah. And then the sun comes back out.
Yeah. And then it's like even fucking hotter, it seems like, as it's drying up the... yeah.
So I could imagine when people say, but it's a dry heat. I'd say that makes a big difference as far as you being a little bit more comfortable when it's hot.
Humidity's the worst.
Oh, my gosh.
You'd be sweating in places you didn't even know you could sweat. It
happens. It happens instantly, too. As soon as you walk outside in an environment like that, it's like bam.
Yeah.
Bam. Ass, armpits, neck, your ears, everything's sweating.
Your thighs.
Your freaking thighs.
You get the chub rub.
You get galded.
Ugh. Janet spent most of the day overseeing the work of 2 cabinet makers, John McAllister and John Ritchie. The cabinet makers were employed by Classic Interior and Design and had been summoned to complete warranty work on wooden countertops that had been previously installed.
Wooden countertops?
That's how it was described.
That's weird, right? I mean, it just seems like those would get marked up.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how that works. People who knew Janet said her demands were sometimes unreasonable. So, not to speak poorly of a victim, but it sounds like Janet was a difficult person.
Well, yeah, and that's not being mean to when everybody describes her as quote unquote difficult, for lack of
unreasonable
better words.
Perry returned from work early in the afternoon and went outside to play with the children. When he heard Janet shouting at the 2 cabinet makers inside the house, he tried to calm his wife down. The workmen were unsettled by Janet's behavior and quickly attempted to finish the project and get the hell out of there, Dylan. By 5 o'clock, the men had left the march home. According to Perry, the family sat down for dinner with the children. This would have, kind of been right after that. Afterward, Janet went to her studio to work on an art project. Between 7 and 7:30 p.m., Perry put the children to bed in their rooms upstairs. Perry said when he went downstairs, he noticed Janet had packed 3 bags and placed them on the deck along with some other items. Perry and Janet began arguing, and around 8:30 p.m., Janet told him, "I'm out of here. I'm leaving." She placed her things in the gray 1996 Volvo 850 and left. He said Janet also took between $4,000 to $5,000 cash with her, along with a passport and a bag of marijuana. Perry said when he asked Janet where she was going, her reply was, quote, "None of your business."
Damn, she got some weed and a passport.
She's unstoppable. At 9 p.m., Perry phoned his brother Ron, who lived in Illinois, up in Chicago, to tell him that Janet had left him and the kids. Ron, who was also an attorney, and his wife were getting ready for bed. They spoke for only 3 minutes. And then at 9:14 p.m., Perry called his sister Kathy, who lived in Michigan. The conversation lasted about 4 minutes. It wasn't until midnight that Perry called the Levines to tell them about the fight. He said Janet had left. Perry would later say he delayed in calling her parents because the couple had always agreed not to involve their families in marital issues. Perry also said he spent the hours before midnight calling various Nashville hotels looking for his wife. When he finally called his in-laws, Perry had hoped Janet was spending the night at their house. When he asked if he should report her missing to the police, Lawrence and Caroline advised him to wait and see if she returned. They thought it would be embarrassing for everyone to get the police involved.
You're worried about embarrassment? So I guess that they... Well, okay, I guess... From he's telling them we had a fight, she left. I guess I could see saying, well, let's see if she, reaches out in the morning. Maybe you wouldn't want to jump to that, let's get authorities involved conclusion because, it's kind of their business. You know what I mean? To a degree.
Well, and she's an adult.
And she has
every right to leave.
Right.
If she wants.
Yeah, I guess I could see that point of view. Let's just give it some time.
Well, and with some of these uppity folks, right? They do worry about appearances.
Well, I wouldn't say that's exclusive to affluent people. A lot of people are concerned about what the neighbors might think. I've known people in the trailer parks that had that same concern. But here's what would strike me as odd. Why do you want to report her missing, Perry? You just went through this whole thing with her. You knew that you guys got into it. Sounds like you've been having issues. Why would you kind of jump to that conclusion? You know what I mean?
I get it, but I also think that one, snooty people do care more about what people think. So I'm going to argue with you on that again. And two, maybe she'd never left before, so maybe he was feeling like worried or concerned, like he didn't really know how to handle it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, just playing devil's advocate.
And I'll have you know, Riri, who used to live next to me in the trailer park, was very concerned about what other people thought.
Well, I'll have you know that people who lived in the trailer park next to me didn't give a fuck and would stand out in their yard and stab each other when they was drunk. Okay, so they wouldn't really care what anybody thought.
Damn.
Yeah. So come at me, bro. Caroline Levine will later say she found Perry's phone call suspicious. She didn't believe Janet would leave as her life revolved around her marriage and the children. If she had left Perry, Caroline did not believe Janet would leave the children behind with Perry. She would have taken the kids. Janet also didn't inform Perry that she had invited a friend to play with Sammy the following day. Sammy's birthday was like a couple weeks away as well, and Janet hadn't shared the party details with her husband either, so we'll get to that in a little bit. And these details will kind of poke holes in Perry's story.
Oh, really?
Well, according to some people. Now, the next morning, which would be a Saturday morning, Marissa Moody arrived at the Blackberry Road house to drop off her 6-year-old son. Though Marissa had never liked Janet or Perry much, she endured their superficial relationship because their kids were friends. Have you ever had your kids like have a friend and you didn't really care for the parents, but you just tried to play nice?
Like every set of parents I met. No, dude.
Is this including the couple that tried to swing with you, or?
Look, as your kids start getting older, and you got to go check out when you drop them off. You got to get a feel for where you're. Once you get to that point, where they are, who's there. But my gosh, you start meeting these people, and it's like you have to interact. And I don't know. I just didn't have any luck. They were all weird one way or the other.
You mean like the people who try to sleep with you?
Why do you keep saying that?
Because it's kind of funny.
You think it's funny?
Well, I think it's kind of funny.
It's pretty uncomfortable.
Maybe I'm just jealous because my kids' friends' parents never tried to sex me up.
Oh, my God. I can spot swingers from a mile away. Can you?
Yeah, because they're usually in like...
Let's fuck. No,
right,
I'm
back
kidding.
and forth.
Well, they're just...
No, I don't
there's
know.
little things they do that give them away, dead away.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, hey, they just wanted to invite you in for a throuple.
Yeah, I'm
or
not doing
a quadruple.
It's not going to work.
Or a one-on-one.
You got the wrong guy. You got the wrong guy. Ask my wife.
They didn't try to swing with me, but we did bump into those people later, and they were kind of weird. I will give you that.
They were weird.
They were weird.
You could smell it on them, right?
I could smell the weird. Yeah, that's why I was just like, "Hey, hi, nice to meet you," and then just like quickly scurried away.
Yeah,
I wasn't trying to spend a lot of time engaging.
They're like, "Hey, how are you?" I'm trying to touch you and stuff. I'm like, bro, bubble, stay outside of my bubble, dude.
So Marissa doesn't really care for the marches, but she's dropping her kid off, going through the motions, whatever. Marissa was a single mom, and she never felt comfortable around the couple. Like, they didn't accept her. Maybe they thought they were better than her.
No, in their 10,000 square foot house.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine that.
When Marissa arrived, Zipporah was outside playing with the nanny. Sammy greeted them at the door and guided them inside the house.
In 4 languages.
A housekeeper had been cleaning the large home for around 2 hours. The only thing out of place, Marissa observed, was a large, dark, rolled-up rug that was lying near the study door, like Perry's study door, which was very close to the kids' playroom. So as she's walking to the playroom, she sees this rug rolled up, and it just seems out of place. Marissa learned from the nanny that Janet wasn't home. Marissa thought Perry would come out from his study, the door was closed, and greet her, but he never did. Perry always treated her this way, so it wasn't very surprising. She finally left, reminding her son that she would return later to pick him up. Marissa would notice the rug was missing when she later came back to fetch her son.
Damn, she's dialed in on this rug. I gotta say, every time I see a rug rolled up, it gives me weird vibes.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think something happened.
Okay.
I think there might be evidence in that rug.
Oh, dude, this reminds me of when I worked many moons ago at this radio station. The little road I would drive on was a kind of residential area. And there was this home with a garage, like a detached garage, and the garage door was always up. And there was a mattress propped up inside the garage. So from the road or the street view, you could see this mattress, and it had this huge stain on it.
Really?
And for years, I would drive by, and every day I would see this mattress, and I would think, someone was murdered, and they've just kept the evidence.
The murder mattress.
The murder mattress.
Was it a big dark stain?
Yes.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
Who keeps a damn stained mattress?
I don't know. Because it was a big stain. Like something had to happen with this.
Tom, I just bought that mattress, man. I ain't throwing it out. Nowadays, you got to finance a mattress. Shit.
Damn, a mattress costs us like what a used car costs back in the day.
I mean, seriously, what happened to mattresses?
I know. We're looking at like a mattress. It's what, $3,000? I was like, well, I guess we're going to have to save up for 6 months.
Used to, $300, $400, $500, $600 was a damn high top end mattress back in the day.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's not just adjusted for inflation either.
They got real expensive. But now they do all this stuff. Like massage you and jerk you off and...
Now that kind of that's like a $6,000 mattress.
After Sammy's play date, Perry dropped the children off at his in-laws. He talked about Janet's departure and the couple's difficulties. Perry suggested they look for Janet's car. Lawrence phoned family members and friends to see if Janet might be staying with any of them. Lawrence and Perry drove to Nashville's International Airport to look for Janet's Volvo, but it was not in the parking lot. Janet liked going to Chicago on shopping trips, so they thought, well, maybe she's gone to Chicago.
She hops a plane and goes to shops in Chicago?
Her brother lived in Los Angeles. Maybe she had gone to visit him. Lawrence suggested Janet might have gone to Chicago and would call them soon, but maybe she hadn't taken a plane.
That seems like a lot of cars. I'm going to guess that's a rather large airport. Most international airports are. And, Nashville's a big city. A lot going on.
This was back in the 90s, so probably wasn't as populated.
Okay. You just go check the long-term parking?
I don't know. I'm not going to go check an airport parking lot.
I hate airports.
Yeah, I do too. The last thing I'm trying to do is go check the damn parking lot at the airport.
Dude, the last time we had to deal with an airport, they charged like $16 to park there for like freaking 35 minutes, man.
It was ridiculous.
What in the hell?
Perry left the children with their grandparents for most of the weekend. He also had a list of 23 tasks that were typed out that he claimed Janet had left with him. And that she was insisting, like, this is your honey-do list. You will complete these tasks before I return.
Wait, so they argued, kind of, she left. They weren't on the best of terms, but she left an extended honey-do list?
Well, it was things like...
Sounds like a list of demands to me.
Feed the children healthy foods, make sure the kids brush their teeth. I mean, it wasn't just you need to repair the broken tile in the bathroom.
Okay. So don't forget to feed the kids. Is it a list? Okay, I got you.
Yeah. Perry started telling people that Janet was on a 12-day vacation and would be back before Sammy's birthday. He had signed the list, this list that Janet had typed up. He had signed it, like at the bottom. He said Janet demanded he sign it like a contract.
Oh.
Which he did.
That's not weird.
The list was created on the computer at 8:17 p.m. on August 15th, 1996. On Sunday evening, Perry called his father, Arthur, who lives in Lake Chapala, Mexico. During the call, he explained that Janet had left him and the kids. Perry mentioned that Arthur might need to drive to Nashville to help care for the children. That was a 1,500-mile drive, and it would take 4 days.
Oh, my God.
But Arthur arrived in Nashville on August 21st or 22nd. Perry and Arthur were spotted driving around Nashville in Arthur's Ford Escort wagon. Janet had planned Sammy's birthday party for August 25th. However, Perry told everyone that this party was going to be held on Tuesday, August 27th, which was the child's birthday, not realizing his wife had made plans for the Saturday before. So Perry's not even realizing that his wife has already made plans for this party. And so quickly, the Levines and Perry had to come up with a story to tell the children's parents. So they were like, oh, well, Janet's in California. She hasn't returned home yet because she's got an ear infection, but we're still going through with the party.
She can't fly.
2 weeks to the day from when Janet disappeared, Perry and the Levines went to the Nashville Police Department to report her missing. David Miller, an experienced detective known for his successful history in finding missing persons, was assigned to the case. Miller's first step was to obtain access to Janet's financial information, including her bank and credit card accounts. There had been no activity in Janet's accounts during the 2 weeks she had been missing. From a homicide investigator's point of view, this was not a good sign.
No, that means that you are likely not with us anymore.
Friends told investigators that Perry had been spending less and less time at home with Janet and the children. He appeared, quote, bored with his wife. Perry had been attending the Jewish Community Center for weightlifting and aerobics classes so frequently that other participants thought he was single.
What the
look
hell?
on your face.
You're talking about, oh, you mean that guy's got a family?
He spends so much time here doing jazzercise.
I just figured he was single.
His dude's Zumbaing like hell over in the corner.
Every time I come, there he is.
Several people told police they had seen Perry around town with different women. Perry claimed the sightings with other women were business related.
Yeah, right.
Well, they might be.
They might not be.
They might be. Bitch, what? Why you instantly think Perry's a dirtball?
I got a feeling that Perry is a dirtball.
Maybe. I mean, he did want to perform oral sex for hours on an office worker.
Well, he tanked his whole career writing sexy notes
He was
to
like,
her.
girl, I've been watching you over there marinating in them pantyhose all day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
And pull them nylons off and get to work on your body buffet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Is that gross?
Yeah.
I was trying to be gross.
Can I get a drink with that or have to pay extra?
You gotta pay extra. Ooh, that sounds weird.
That was the weird part? Jeez, the body buffet?
Yeah.
You telling me I just paid for a body buffet and you don't even get me a drink? That's the weird part?
You want her to pee on you?
Oh, see.
That's where my brain went.
That's not where mine went. You say I'm the weird, creepy one.
In early August, prior to Janet's disappearance, Perry started spending nights away from home. He had asked a client if he could rent a condo they owned. Perry had stayed at several motels in Nashville. He would tell investigators it was because of his worsening relationship with his wife and that he simply wanted to get a good night's sleep, something he could not achieve at home.
Damn.
Wife's bitching at me and I can't sleep. I mean, that can happen.
Well, yeah. Yeah, your spouse can bitch at you that much. I mean, it can happen.
Yeah.
It happens.
Perry admitted that he and Janet had been seeing a psychiatrist both together and individually to address their marital problems. They had mentioned divorce, but had not seriously discussed it. The housekeeper informed investigators that Janet had a book on divorce sitting on her nightstand for months.
Divorce for dummies.
Friends say that Perry resented Janet because of the pressure he felt to change himself in order to make her happy. Janet confided in friends that Perry had never fully addressed his mother's death, which had created issues in their relationship. Additionally, Janet shared that she had taken on a larger share of the childcare responsibilities while Perry was out with clients. So it sounds like she's a little resentful that she's with the kids. But from my resources, it states the kids were with her parents a hell of a lot of the time. And she's got a nanny.
I was going to say,
So is she really...
does that mean she has to deal with a nanny all the time?
So is she really... I mean, it doesn't sound like either one of them is really kind of full-time with the kids.
But, I mean, we're not living her life. We don't know exactly how everything was structured. So, you know.
Okay.
Maybe
Well, when you got a nanny and your kids are constantly with your parents, I'd say it's kind of obvious what's going on.
Well, yeah. And then they were still, to the degree they were able to still socialize and do everything they wanted. I mean, that's a lot, you know. Who gets to do that with kids?
Yeah, most people don't.
Well, now people just take their kids with them.
Yeah, their kids are at the bar like throwing darts
They're everywhere.
at each other's heads.
I've seen some little kids at a strip club.
Well, that's going to be the next thing is like, how dare you not let my child in the strip club? I'm trying to go in here.
Yeah, they got some wands. Let them have fun.
Honestly, these parents today. A woman from Perry's past told police that he had assaulted her when they were students at the University of Michigan. She alleged that Perry had struck her in the face with his fist. That woman was interviewed by the Nashville Scene, which is like a news publication. Perry claimed that the reason he had hit this bitch, right?
What had happened was,
The reason I hit this bitch is because she'd given him an STD.
oh,
Knowingly.
she just handing them out, huh?
Just handing out the
she
STDs.
got pocketfuls of
Well,
STDs.
I mean, I guess they were seeing each other and she cheated and then gave him an STD. And he
Ah.
was pissed, kind of thing.
There you go.
Now, Detective Miller asked Perry point blank if he had killed his wife and disposed of her body. Perry denied having hurt Janet. Perry and Janet had fought the night before she went missing, but he said it was not physical. Perry appeared on CBS News' 48 Hours later and told a national television audience, quote, Janet was a wonderful mother, very doting. It felt odd that Perry referred to his wife in the past tense.
Oh, that's not good. You know, that's not a good reason. That's not okay to hit a woman because she gave you a STD. I'm just going to say it.
I don't know, man.
I'm just going to say it.
If a woman gave me an STD, I might hit her.
Well, you know what? It would depend on the STD. Right? Can we say that? Like,
I mean, I might hit anybody who gave me an STD.
like AIDS, I'm going to punch you because that's a big deal.
Okay.
You know?
Like just straight to the AIDS?
No, not 90s AIDS. Not AIDS nowadays. Not prep AIDS. Like 90s AIDS. The scary AIDS.
Okay.
Yeah.
Easy E AIDS.
Easy E AIDS. He was dead in like 3 days.
That's true.
But if it's just chlamydia, I mean, that you shouldn't be putting your hands on somebody over chlamydia.
No, I'd probably put my hands on somebody over chlamydia.
You would? What
Well,
about HPV?
Well, if I'm in like a serious relationship with somebody and then I'm committed, I'm thinking it's monogamous, and then they go out and step out and then bring back something, then yeah, I'm gonna be pissed.
It don't matter anything.
Why? Why are you asking?
I just thought we could have fun.
Do you want me to nail your testicles to the wall?
Well, you're not gonna get anything from me. I can tell you that right now.
Well, I know I'm not be getting anything from you lately, so it
Ah,
makes sense.
I threw you a softball.
Womp, womp.
No, because I don't cheat outside of our relationship.
Well, then why you keep asking? Can we move along? Because now you're making me feel like something's up. Now I'm going to have to go through your phone or something.
Maybe you can have my phone.
I don't even know how to operate your
You
phone.
can go through my underwear too.
Yeah, because I have to fold them and then they sit there on the couch for 3 weeks.
That's right.
See that laundry basket that's sitting right there?
And they're all right there still,
It's true.
fresh.
They've been there for a minute.
Because I'm just wearing the same ones over and over.
This is a really good PSA for don't get married.
Baby, I love you.
Stay single.
And okay. I'm not going to give you any STDs. And if I did, I would expect to be hit. That's all I'm going to say about it.
Good, because like I said, I might nail your balls to the wall. And then I'm going to take that laundry basket and I'm going to hit you with it.
You know, that's one of the trashiest things I can think of is cheating on your spouse and then giving them an STD from the person you cheated on them with. That is fucking trash, bro. That is really trashy.
It's just such a betrayal.
It is one of the worst betrayals that you can think of.
Yeah.
I mean, truly.
That would not be okay by my standards and values, Dylan. Now, let's move along. Enough talking about...
That could start fights out there in our listeners' world. Like, I'm sorry, baby. I told you I didn't mean it. Let's move on.
Yeah, I'm not advocating that you punch anybody in the face.
No, and I'm not advocating
But
that
I'm
you
just
give
saying
anybody
I'm
STDs.
just saying if you do, like, I'm not judging you too harshly.
Oh, my gosh.
Residents of an apartment building in the Belmead area of Nashville reported a Volvo that had been discovered in the parking lot on September 7th of 1996. It had been there for some time. And eventually, hey, this doesn't seem to belong to a resident. And you know, a lot of those apartment buildings also have like placards or stickers that you kind of like display.
Right.
Right? So I don't know if that was the case, but for some reason they recognized this car was out of place.
Dude, my mom lived in this apartment and it was okay. I mean, it wasn't a terrible, trashy place, but it wasn't very high end either. But they were fucking sticklers about the damn parking.
I lived in a place like that as well.
But I think it was just because they had something worked out with the tow guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could not park there for...
Dude, I had this situation where my roommate, who was an asshole, parked. We had a garage and we had a space. And she usually parked in the garage because I drove this SUV at the time and the garage was super narrow.
Right.
And I just didn't feel comfortable parking in there.
It wasn't worth trying to get in.
I was always just like, ugh. So she parked in the garage and I parked in the space. Well, I came home one night or, it was late, like I'd been on the ship or something, and she was in my space. So I parked in the guest parking and they towed me.
What?
And I had to go make a big stink about it to get my car released.
God, I bet you were pissed.
I was so mad. And I was pissed at her because I'm like, you can't just park in the fucking garage. Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
And then, my car got towed. And it was like a whole big thing.
Look what happened.
With a fucking tag in the window that I live there.
That doesn't make sense.
No, it didn't make sense to me either. So, yeah. But these places can be crazy with that shit.
Did they let your car go?
Yeah, I got it back. I had to pay to get it out, but then I ended up like getting some of the money back, and it was just a whole thing.
Dude, when people talk about living somewhere like where there's just all these parking, a city like Philadelphia famously has some terrible, very hard to understand parking, and they will tow you in a heartbeat. Man, that shit gets expensive, dude.
Yeah.
Hundreds, thousands of dollars.
It's a lot.
That is crazy.
Because then they tow it, and then sometimes you got to pay to get it out of impound and the tow.
And you got to go through a rigmarole with
it's-
paperwork
yes.
and like blah, blah, blah. And you can't just go, they won't let you go into your car to get stuff if something there you need. I mean, dude, I have a fear of my car being towed. Like if I even have the slightest hint that
Or
I
being
might.
booted.
Yeah.
Because that's another shitty thing. There was this parking lot, like a big open parking lot in Raleigh when I was younger that was kind of notorious for this shit, and I didn't know until after the fact. But it was like Halloween, and I'm out with a friend, and the worst part is like he was dressed in drag and had on like this, wig and like this bustier and shit, and he was kind of a big dude and had a big old burly chest. And anyway, we paid. It was one of those things where you slide the $5 or whatever in the slot.
Yeah.
And when we came out, his vehicle had been booted. So then we had to get the company out there, and they're trying to charge money. And we're like, bro, we put the, anyway, back and forth. And so my friend's like all pissed off standing there in his like wig and bustier, like arguing with the dude.
Oh my God.
Like, take the boot off my truck.
Damn it.
And it was kind of funny. Because then I'm like, maybe you should take the wig off because I just don't feel like this guy's taking you very seriously right now.
Because your eyelashes.
Yes.
They have a windshield boot now. They put a device on your windshield that suctions to your windshield and you can't see anything. Yes. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
And then you can get it removed like over the phone and shit. And then you got to take the device off and like return it to the rack.
What?
Dude, I swear.
They're doing too much.
They are doing way too much.
They're doing too much. Okay, back to this. Well, investigators figure out, this car is at this lot. It's about 6.6 miles from the couple's home in Forest Hills. Investigators immediately began processing the vehicle. The car appeared to be abandoned as if it had been sitting there for several weeks due to the, quote, weather-related grime, like on the car surface.
Right. You can tell when a car's been sitting.
You can. Man, I had to go wash mine yesterday because it had been sitting and it was disgusting.
The birds have pooped all over
I
it.
know. I was like, why is my car covered in bird shit?
Birds are like, damn your Mini Cooper.
Yeah.
Hey, Jim, watch this.
I know, it looked like somebody just squirted some mayonnaise all over it. Inside the vehicle, law enforcement found some of Janet's personal belongings. There was some clothing, like a swimsuit, things you might take on a vacation, but some of the essentials were missing, which investigators thought was strange. There was no toothbrush, no hairbrush, no bras, no underwear.
Okay, well, that's a smart observation on their part.
Well, yeah, because who's going to take a trip and not pack drawers?
I always take, you know what? I pack rather lightly, but I always take a lot of socks and underwear. Like I'm just not sure what I'm going to get into,
Well, you like to walk around naked a lot, so you got to make sure you have on your socks.
I don't do that when we're not at home.
I don't believe it.
I'm not comfortable walking around naked in some hotel room. You're bound to catch something.
It's not true. You go over to the window and do some stretches. You open the curtains.
It's not true.
You peer out to the parking lot, do some stretches. Yeah. An examination of the home proved fruitless. There was no sign of foul play. The housekeeper told detectives that when she had arrived the day after Janet had gone missing, that the house was spotless. Which, I don't know. Does that make sense? You've got 2 kids, but maybe they were like on top of keeping the house clean.
Yeah, maybe.
A week after the car was found, construction workers finished a project in an area called Crater Hill, and they reported a strong odor during the week of September 8th at the site. They thought they smelled death, but couldn't quite figure out where it was coming from.
Oh.
When investigators asked Perry if they could search the house and property again, this time he refused. Like, he'd allowed them the first time they asked, but the second time he says no. Perry hired a lawyer and declined to take a polygraph exam based on his attorney's advice. Investigators shifted their focus to that to-do list that was allegedly left by Janet. Comparing other documents that Janet had typed, detectives recognized it was written in an unfamiliar style. Janet often typed in lowercase letters. The list looked more like documents Perry produced on the computer. Janet dated materials at the top of the page, while Perry dated them at the bottom, and this list was dated at the bottom of the page.
Damn.
So, good eye there. Marissa Moody was interviewed. She mentioned the rolled-up rug outside of Perry's study. Perry denied the existence of a rug. The nanny also stated that she had not seen a rug on the Saturday after Janet had gone missing. So, I guess you got to ask yourself, like, you know, is the nanny lying? Did she just not pay attention to this rug? Or this woman who does not care for Janet and Perry claiming she's seen this rug?
Right.
I mean, I guess you have to wonder, right? A search warrant was issued on September 17th. The house, which was located on 4 acres of property, and the outbuildings were finally searched. Despite forensic investigators analyzing the floorboards, the fireplace, no evidence was located. There were no traces of blood inside the home, and without a body, there wasn't any proof that Janet was dead.
No body, no case.
Detectives had different theories about what might have happened. Perry held a black belt in karate, so perhaps he had killed her with a karate chop.
Oh, Judy chop to the neck.
A Judy chop, yeah.
You know, but I mean, she's going to disappear and not access any of her finances or money. I mean, that's just very hard to believe, right? I think that's pretty strong evidence that something has happened to her, don't you?
Yes, but you have to have more proof than that.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, I know.
Because maybe she did leave and maybe something happened after she left. She could have got robbed at a gas station or something.
Ah, okay, good point.
Just saying.
Good point.
Others speculated that Arthur might have helped his son dispose of Janet's body. Arthur offered detectives his vehicle for their search. Perry dismissed these theories as, quote, bullshit.
That's bullshit.
These are bullshit theories.
These accusations are unfounded.
Bullshit. When the home computer was finally examined, it noted that the hard drive was missing. Perry said, quote, I didn't take it out. I had nothing to hide on my hard drive.
Wow. I have the hardest drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My hard drive's so hard.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not even full of stuff either. It's got all kinds of room on it.
It's got it's a tegabyte.
No, it's like
or
a
a tetrabyte. What is it? It's a tegabyte.
It's like a tetrabyte, dude.
It's got a whole TB.
Dude, you can you can go get old DVRs and stuff from like the satellite thing and open them up, and there's like a terabyte hard drive in there, bro.
From the old satellite thing.
Yeah. It's like
Okay.
It's old DVRs. You'll commonly find them at Goodwills and such. Boom. Terabyte hard drive in there just waiting for you. I guess that's like a big deal.
I'm not even going to ask how you know that. Moving along. Perry took the children to Chicago in mid-September to celebrate Rosh Hashanah. He also had been planning to relocate to that city soon. Suspecting that Perry might be trying to leave the state, the Levines filed for emergency custody of the children. One step ahead, Perry had already sent the children to live with his brother Ron in Chicago.
Oh, damn.
Some found it strange that the Levines were suddenly turning against Perry. For years, they had treated him like a son. There was no evidence that Perry had any hand in his wife's disappearance. Cadaver dogs were deployed to search the area where the scent had been detected at that construction site. Divers scoured local lakes and ponds nearby, bodies of water. A helicopter search was conducted over the March's home in that Forest Hills area. By October 4th, Perry had moved to Chicago. The Levines requested visitation with their grandchildren, but Perry could not be served because he wasn't in town in Nashville. Perry was subpoenaed and ordered to provide a deposition in a civil proceeding on October 15th. The Levines' attorney sought information about Janet's disappearance, the finances, and his current mental health status. Perry invoked his Fifth Amendment right at least 15 times during the deposition. Nashville police named Perry their top suspect in Janet's disappearance and probable murder. But again, you don't have any evidence. I mean, that's the thing that I find troubling about this case. As we go further into it, there's really nothing, there's not evidence. There's nothing pointing to Perry. And the Levines, in my opinion, are kind of monsters. Like, they target him and they're going to do some really shady shit.
Really?
Yeah. When initially they were the ones telling him, like, don't go to police.
Yeah.
We don't want to embarrass her.
He was worried, trying to get their advice very early on.
Perry was finished in Nashville. By now, he was convicted in the court of public opinion. He had been ostracized by friends and associates. Perry referred to the friends who'd turned their back on him as, quote, small-minded, petty little people.
Oh, damn. Perry got some jabs.
Detective Miller continued his search for answers and learned of the issues Perry had had with that former employer, Bass, Berry, and Sims. By the summer of 1996, Perry had paid off half the settlement money to the woman he had harassed. Days before Janet went missing, Perry had written the woman a letter explaining he was having trouble coming up with the rest of the money. Miller speculated that Janet perhaps learned of the settlement, and that's what had caused this major blowout fight. In November, Perry appeared in probate court as part of a legal dispute involving him and the Levines concerning Janet's assets. When asked if anyone might have a motive to kill Janet, Perry said yes. He stated, quote, I believe there are several people involved in the construction of our house who harbor extreme animosity and hatred toward Janet.
Damn. Talking about the cabinet makers don't like her.
According to Perry, Janet was often demeaning to many of the workmen. He explained that he had asked Janet to modify her behavior and interactions with the contractors and subcontractors on several occasions. The home project had taken over a year. Janet had caught one of the subcontractors stealing chairs from their home, and another employee had been caught stealing materials for personal use. Janet had found one person on the clock making a birdhouse, and this is while they were scheduled to work on her home. Janet had taken the birdhouse away from him.
Well, I mean, those are all reasons to be aggravated. I mean, with the workers, right?
Well, yeah. But I'm not just going to, like, take a birdhouse out of somebody's hands and be like, give me that. I don't know. It just sounds like a lot.
When I used to do fences, and I've had difficult customers of various types. Severe, very difficult. But I always had a line. You're not just going to talk crazy to me. You know what I'm saying? Because then that damn redneck comes out on me, and I will get the damn chainsaw out, chain shit to a truck and drive away. I will tear this shit up and walk away. Like, you're not just going to talk crazy to me, dude. So I've had some contentious engagements with customers, but it only went so far.
But I also wonder, I mean, a lot of folks out there have built homes. You've had contractors, subcontractors. You might have one employee that's shady or does something maybe you don't like, but just multiple. Like, you're just going to continuously have issues with these people.
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying it's not true, But I guess just in my experience, having been around contractors and subcontractors and working folks and stuff, somebody's going to, steal some chairs from your house. I mean, that just seems strange or probably unlikely to happen, right?
I like them chairs.
I mean, most people that are working on your house aren't just going to steal your chairs.
Hey, what happened to all my chairs that was here yesterday?
I mean, it's just odd that they're going to be, stealing materials, and you're just going to happen to catch them at every moment taking something.
Right.
I mean, again, I think it's just you've got this very difficult person who's like looking for reasons to bitch and complain at these people who are working for her.
What? See, that's the thing. She is someone. It sounds like she is the type of person who thinks just because you're contracted to do a job for her, that she owns you in a way. She can
That's the vibe I get.
She can demean you. She can get all in your face and just act any kind of way she wants, and that's just not the case. And it's a lot. A lot of times these people will be locked in on a very expensive project or something like that, and they try to go the extra mile to not totally piss off the homeowner. But that's just not going to work for me. You're not going to do that to me.
Well, I think,
or people that work with me.
I mean, the fact that he's pointing the finger at these other people, it does in some way create a doubt in my mind that I couldn't definitively say it's his fault he did this, because, I mean, there is this whole other possibility. She has been really horrible to some people.
Right.
That maybe somebody does have, a bone to pick, so to speak.
And you went way over the line, in my opinion, if after the project's over, someone still harbors you ill will. I mean, it's been a lot. You know what I mean?
Well, I just can't imagine snatching a birdhouse out of someone's hands and being like, get back to work. I don't know. It's really strange. So according to friends of the couple, Perry seemed to be really broken up over Janet's disappearance. When the children would ask about their mother, Perry would tell them, quote, "We don't know what happened to Mommy." At some point, Perry said, quote, "The longer we go, the less likely we are to hear from her. We can't hold out false hopes. I have to tell them the truth. People live through worse." When Perry bought new tires, investigators spoke to the tire shop, and they kind of informed detectives that the previous tires had been in decent condition with more than 50% tread.
Wow.
Perry said he wanted a different brand of tires, but police used this as an opportunity to hypothesize that Perry, the suspect, was concerned about tire impressions.
So, for one, how they even know that he got tires, right? I mean, they're watching him, I guess. And hell, he's a layman. He's not a tire guy. For all he knows, 50% tread, that's worn pretty good, right? I mean, they look quite different than when you got them. So for all, I mean, that's just, it seems like a lot of speculation on their part.
4 months have passed since Janet was last seen. Detectives theorize that Janet and Perry had a fight which escalated to the point of murder. Perry likely lost control and killed Janet before disposing of her body. This was more conjecture, as they had little evidence linking Perry to the crime or proving that Janet was dead. Although he had already been convicted in the court of public opinion, nothing connected him to the crime.
And it's said that he beat her with that very birdhouse she took from that poor worker. The irony, right?
No, some birds attacked her. Instead, Perry felt...
Where's my house at, bitch?
Perry felt victimized. He was shunned by the community. Perry's ability to make money had also fizzled with his employment at his father-in-law's firm. There was also accusations, Perry suspected these came from the Levines, that he had molested the children. I mean, it's bad enough to be considered a suspect in your wife's disappearance, but someone's going to start a rumor that you molested the kids too? I mean, that seems pretty low.
Well, if that's what happened, that's beyond low.
Well, there's no proof.
Right.
There was nothing that suggested he did. There was no investigation into it. It's just someone spreading a rumor.
Well, and that's a disgusting thing if they are lying about it. That's a disgusting thing to lie about to anybody.
A colleague described Larry, talking about Larry Levine, as, quote, when Larry is lucid, all he can talk about is destroying Perry. So when he says lucid, that makes me wonder, like, is Larry drinking? Is he under the influence of something?
I don't know. It's either that or he has cognitive issues, right?
But it sounds like obsessed with his son-in-law and getting back at him. That's not good.
That's not healthy.
By the end of 1996, a judge granted the Levines regular visits with the grandchildren. It was revealed that Perry had been let go at that law firm for embezzling funds. Unable to find employment in Nashville and then in Chicago, Perry was desperate for money. He was not able to tap into Janet's estate, and, he's got 2 kids to raise, so he's scrambling, trying to figure things out. In 1998, the Levines filed a petition to summon a jury in the Tennessee probate court for a wrongful death action. The goal was to find Perry liable in absentia for Janet's death.
Now, has she been declared dead?
No, but on July 15th of 1998, a judge ruled in the Levines' favor.
Huh.
In May of 1999, Perry March moved to Jalisco, Mexico, with his father and children. Arthur would later tell CBS News, quote, I brought Perry down here because he didn't have anywhere else to go. Perry learned Spanish quickly, just as he had with Chinese. Soon he met a 27-year-old woman named Carmen, who had 3 children from a previous marriage. By this time, Perry's license to practice law had been suspended in Tennessee while he was being investigated for embezzlement and fraud. A year later, Perry was disbarred. He then started a company with another man in Mexico, which blossomed. On January 14th of 2000, a judge ruled in a wrongful death suit brought by the Levine family that Janet was dead and Perry was responsible.
Okay.
Again, I kind of have a problem with this. You don't have any evidence that he's committed a crime, and the Levines are just going in so hardcore on this guy. And it makes me wonder if the embezzlement allegations are true, or is that some trumped up thing to, like, fuck with him?
No, it sounds like Perry might not have even been present at these proceedings.
No, he was not. A probate court jury awarded the Levines $113.4 million in damages. Perry was ordered to pay the judgment. It was soon after this, in 2000, that Perry married Carmen and they had a child together. New legislation was passed in Tennessee that grandparents had a right to pursue custody if the parent had been adjudged responsible in a wrongful death lawsuit. So this is proof that rich people like the Levines can even buy laws, because the Levines had a bunch of powerful friends, and this was a law they kind of seemed like they maybe came up with and had some of their friends push through.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Damn, I don't want somebody like this on me getting legislation passed. Talking about the Anti-Packer Act of 1997. Jeez.
In June of 2000, immigration officials discovered Perry and informed him that there were some issues with his immigration status in Mexico. The Levines had Mexican officials carry out a court-ordered visitation demand that was legally questionable. The concept of grandparent visitation in Mexico didn't exist. Other American attorneys practicing law overlooked the validity of the court order. According to Perry, the Levines had connections with Al Gore, the State Department, and the U.S. Embassy, advocating for Perry's deportation back to the United States. He was apprehensive about returning to the States for fear of facing criminal charges for embezzlement. So again, they've got a lot of powerful friends, they have connections, and they are just given the full court press to make Perry's life a living hell, it sounds like.
They're giving Perry the business, as they say.
Lawrence and Caroline Levine remained unhappy because a Tennessee Court of Appeals overturned the $113.5 million verdict against him in the wrongful death lawsuit. Then, after a legal battle, Perry was able to get his kids back, where they had been essentially kidnapped from Mexico by these authorities that didn't really have the authority to do so.
Oh, so they actually took the kids during that period.
They
wow.
did. On May 7th of 2004, the Levines returned to court to have Janet declared legally dead for a second time. Again, on October 20th of 2004, Perry was found responsible for her death. Perry was ordered to pay the Levines $6 million.
Now, this is in civil court, correct?
Yes.
Where the burden of proof is much lower.
He appealed the judgment. Little did Perry know that behind the scenes, detectives were working to build a case against him. Without a body, they realized it would be difficult to convince a jury to convict. But still, they believed they had enough evidence to support a second-degree murder charge. But I don't know exactly what that is because they don't have any evidence.
Well, to this point, I actually heard not one speck of evidence.
Well, that's pretty much what they have.
Conjecture and
no specks of evidence.
Conjecture and speculation, right?
Perry was deported back to the United States. However, the children could not be located. The Levines would soon learn that the children had been taken to Chicago, where they were staying with Perry's brother, Ron. On August 4th of 2005, Perry was booked into jail in California, awaiting extradition to Tennessee. Temporary custody of the children was granted to the Levines. Perry told investigators, quote, "It is time to close this chapter in my life," and said he was willing to plead guilty if he could be assured the sentence would be no more than 7 years.
Damn.
This information was relayed to the district attorney. Now look, I know I'm kind of like, I'm not siding with Perry, but I'm just, throughout this research with this case, there's no evidence, and these people have made his life a living hell, that I'm almost like, is Perry saying, I'll just plead guilty and serve some time if you people will just leave me the fuck alone?
That's what it sounds like.
I mean, because I kind of get that impression that he's just like over it and just wants to be left alone by these people.
Well, if you're already having financial troubles, which he was not very long after, and some of it might be self-imposed. You know, he's not the best with his money and things like that. And who knows, maybe he really did embezzle from his previous employer and all that. But when you get a judgment like that against you in the millions, I mean, that literally hangs. Ask O.J. Simpson. That will hang over your head the rest of your life. I mean, it really will.
No, absolutely.
It can ruin you financially.
It really can.
And the only way that's cool is if you deserve it.
While incarcerated, Perry tried to hire another inmate to kill the Levines. Perry offered to have the man's bond posted. The inmate was wired by law enforcement and the conversations recorded. 5 conversations were taped between the inmate and Arthur. Arthur told him the right time of day to go to the Levine's house, where to get a gun, and ordered him to wear surgical gloves when he killed the Levines.
Damn, dude.
Then he gave him information on how to get down to Mexico.
That's right. You just go south and you just keep going until you see a bunch of nice people who have some really delicious food.
You're so stupid.
Yeah.
Perry was charged. Well, how do you know you don't end up in like Brazil?
They got a bunch of nice people with good food?
Yeah.
We'll just keep going.
Perry was charged with 2 counts of conspiring to commit murder by federal prosecutors. Arthur was also charged but remained in Mexico and became an official fugitive. Perry was found guilty of embezzling $23,000 from his father-in-law's firm over the 2 years before Janet had disappeared.
Is that what he's paying that woman with? That just happens to be almost the same amount in time period.
2 months later, Perry was convicted on the murder conspiracy charges. Nearly 10 years after Janet disappeared, Perry's trial began in Nashville with jurors selected from Chattanooga, Tennessee. The circumstantial case was presented to the jury. Much of the testimony came from witnesses who had heard comments from Perry. I mean, isn't that just hearsay?
So most of the witnesses were saying what Perry told them.
Yes.
Well, no, they
allow that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I've seen versions of that allowed many times.
But that's your only evidence? I mean, that's your only real... I have a hard time with that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound like a strong case at all.
No. Forensic evidence included mitochondrial DNA that was in the hair that had been found in the back of the Volvo, consistent with Janet's hairbrush. Fibers analyzed from the rear of Perry's Jeep matched those that Marissa Moody had recalled seeing on the rolled-up rug in the March house. But here's the thing. They don't have the rug. They're only going on what this lady described the colors of the rug.
She's like, wait, what color were the fibers?
And
they
then
were gray. The rug was gray.
And so they found some fibers in the back of Perry's Jeep that matched the color of this alleged rug.
Yeah.
Again, that's not... I mean, to me, I'm like, that could have been anything.
And they're saying they found what they're saying is a hair
In the back of the Volvo.
of her car.
Yeah.
I
Which
mean,
matched her hairbrush.
what does that prove?
Oh, he had her in the trunk of the car.
Well, I know what they're saying, but I'm
mean-
saying you could put your coat back there. You could put you're back there getting grocery. I mean, my hair's in my trunk.
Dude, I find my daughter's hairs, and she hasn't lived with us in a minute, like a
Yeah.
year. I find her hair
That's true.
in shit.
Yeah, you'll be like, where's this long blonde hair? I'll be like, you know where that came from?
Your daughter came to visit at Christmas, and I found big old long ass 2-foot long black hair that I know probably belonged to Willow somewhere, just randomly in the house.
What have you done with my daughter?
Yeah, I know exactly.
She's been taken.
Because they shed like crazy.
No, but I mean, that's not strong.
It's
I mean,
not
that's
strong.
not compelling. It's not like you found brain matter. I mean, what the fuck?
No, I just think this was such
Or
a
even blood.
weak case, and I don't feel like justice was served. I would have a hard time sitting on this jury and listening to this evidence and being like, yes, 100%, this guy's guilty.
I'm telling you, you can be found guilty real easy.
There was a taped deposition with Arthur, who had made a deal on the murder conspiracy charges in exchange for evidence against his son. He claimed that Perry had killed Janet in August of 1996. Perry had taken Janet's body to a place in the woods. Arthur had gone with him to that site. He found a trash bag that weighed somewhere between 50 to 60 pounds that supposedly contained Janet's body. Although he never saw the body, he just saw the trash bag.
Did he feel? Well, that's a hell of a trash bag. What brand is that?
Must be a hefty.
Shit.
That he loaded it into Perry's Jeep, and they drove to Bowling Green, Kentucky, where they found a motel. They checked in this motel. Arthur then took the body in the Jeep to a location in the woods where he placed this bag containing Janet's body next to a large brush pile.
Oh, okay.
However, Arthur could not show police where the body had been dumped at all. So is Arthur just trying to save his own ass here? Or is he telling the truth?
Wait a second. Now, in your mind, you're basically disposing of your son's wife's remains.
Yes.
And I got to imagine that would be a flashbulb memory
Yeah.
that you would remember every minute detail of that day, that time, what was happening, what you smelled, all that. Very vivid memory. And he couldn't even come close to describing or telling them where these remains are.
No.
Then how do we know that he really did that?
Well, that's the thing, we don't. I mean, he could just be saving his ass because he doesn't want to go to prison.
Well, yeah.
So he's like, yep, my son did it, and I helped dispose of this body. I think it was in garbage bags. I don't know.
It's in one of the best high-quality garbage bags
yes.
I've ever seen.
Yeah. Maybe it was triple bagged.
Yeah, still.
Maybe it was a hefty cinch sack.
50 or 60 pounds, I'm saying.
Well, you know that commercial used to be like, wimpy, wimpy, wimpy.
Hefty.
See?
I'm not paying all that money for garbage bags. My garbage bags are cheap.
And then you bitch because they're shitty.
Look, I can only get so shitty a bag. Now there's a line. It can't fall apart when I'm pulling it out of the can.
Look, I just go buy what I want when you're not around. Because I know you're going to buy the shitty bags.
Well, I'm not paying $15 for a box of trash bags that I'm literally going to throw away.
Well, you don't have to pay $15.
They're outrageous.
I'll go get the $7 bag.
Yeah, but it only has like 10 in it.
Well,
It's a fucking numbers game,
it's
dude.
not true. After 10 hours of deliberation, Perry was found guilty on all charges. Although the overall case was weak, the recorded conversations between Perry, Arthur, and that inmate proved strong evidence. But I'm like, how was that used in this murder case when that's a completely separate charge?
Well, A, surprised it was allowed. B, it proves that he wants them to die, right? But, I mean, you could easily argue that's just because they've ruined his life.
But I'm like, no fucking wonder. I would want them to die, too. Look at all the shit they've done to him.
I'm saying you could easily, any lawyer worth his or her salt could easily argue that at this point he was so fed up with, what they view as harassment and destroying his life and the constant this and that he snapped.
Trying to get custody of the kids repeatedly. I mean, even if he did kill his wife, that doesn't make him a bad father. That doesn't make him unable to care for the kid. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the way they're like, we got to swoop in and get these kids from him.
Well, I mean, if he killed my daughter, then I would probably, I wouldn't think that he should have the kids, But from there, it's obvious they're not used to hearing no.
Well, they have all these powerful friends.
Yeah.
And they're able to get him convicted with no evidence. They're able to get authorities to go into Mexico and take these kids away from their father based on no real court order or
Right.
I mean, and then now they're going to find him guilty and this evidence is a lot. I mean, it just seems like this is such a scam trial, in my opinion.
It's a kangaroo court.
Yeah. So, again, we're using this evidence from this other case, and somehow that's compelling enough to find him guilty in Janet's murder. Perry received a 56-year prison sentence. Arthur was sentenced to 5 years in prison. Arthur died 3 months into his sentence on December 21st. Perry has exhausted all appeals and won't be eligible for parole until 2038. He is currently housed at the Morgan County Correctional Complex near Wartburg. In 2017, Perry filed a lawsuit against Aramark and the Tennessee Department of Corrections, claiming religious discrimination due to improper preparation of kosher foods.
Oh, shit. Damn. Dude. You're not respecting my religion, Has a rabbi prayed over these hot dogs? No, I didn't think so. Yeah, they got to be present when it's like, I don't know, made into a hot dog or something.
Well, I mean,
kosher. That's got to be blessed by a rabbi.
He has that right.
Well,
he has the right to keep kosher, Dylan.
How does he know it's not kosher?
I don't know.
They make good dill pickles too.
I didn't go into all the.
Wait a second.
The semantics of the kosher lawsuit.
A kosher dill pickle? Is that what that means? Or is that different? Have I been eating holy pickles?
Why you always ask me? I don't know.
They're so good.
Why are you trying to make me look stupid? I don't
like
know.
Kosher dill pickles.
You do?
Yes. If any of
I prefer the unkosher ones.
Unkosher.
I like the satanic dill pickles myself.
If any of our Jewish listeners,
the devil pickles,
can straighten this out for me, just let us know.
You could just use your phone.
No.
And this thing called a search engine.
No,
look it up.
I like to hear from our listeners.
Our listeners don't want to talk to you.
That's not true.
Yeah, it is.
Hit me up at mountainmurderspodcast@gmail.com if you know Is that just a brand?
So Heather can check the email and read the email to Dylan because he doesn't know how to
Yeah.
use the email.
Well,
Yes.
I know how to use it, but
Don't ask him to send an
is
attachment.
that just a brand of the pickles, or does that mean that's
It's
really...
not a brand. It's not like Vlasic or something. It's not a brand. It's a style of pickle.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm saying.
A brand.
Well,
It's not Mount Olive Pickle.
okay, are you sure?
It's not like there's just the kosher pickle company.
Yeah, that's what I'm... See, that's what... Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Gosh, what is wrong with you?
So he could have those pickles,
You make my head hurt.
right?
I guess.
Okay.
I don't know, Dylan. I don't have a kosher diet. I can't tell you. I'm not keeping kosher over here, okay? I'm barely keeping us alive.
What? Shit.
I'm barely keeping us alive with like a bowl of cereal, okay?
Oh.
Gosh, I don't know, man. I go through phases of like I just want to cook all the time, and lately I've been through this phase. I don't want to cook ever.
Yeah.
I don't want to cook.
I don't blame
The
you.
last couple weeks,
Cooking's stupid.
I'm like, here, we'll have a grilled cheese like every night this week.
Yeah.
I've eaten a grilled cheese like every night this week. Now we don't have any bread, so we'll have to figure something else out for tonight.
Tonight we're just eating cheese, bitches.
I hope there's cheese left.
Well, look, there isn't actually. Because you know what? I used the last of
Damn it! Now I'm gonna have to figure out something for dinner.
the cheese and the bread on, guess what?
This is
Grilled cheeses last night
Inconvenient.
for you and me.
Sweet. Well, there's cereal. We'll have some cereal for supper.
Well, Heather, I'd never heard of this story before, but I gotta say it's kind of a strange story, right?
Yeah.
Because there's still no definitive answers to this day, right?
Nope. Not at all. No body. No information.
Because you got
Very little evidence.
Well, if you're Perry, and you did do something
What
to
if
your
this
wife.
is okay? What if this is the ultimate gone girl?
Oh, she's just been chilling.
Maybe. I'm just saying. What if it is?
And she intentionally didn't access some of her finances because she had secret finances. And just to make it look like she's not, yeah, okay. Make him look bad,
Maybe.
right?
I mean, it could be possible. Just like I guess it's possible you can convict somebody with no evidence just because your in-laws are rich and powerfully connected.
Well, you've got to, I mean, if I had done something, I would have used the location of her remains as a bargaining chip, right? I mean, you got to do that.
I guess if you don't know where they are, I don't
See,
know.
that's the problem. Is if you didn't do anything,
Lost them.
if you didn't do anything to her, if you sent
I've misplaced the remains.
your dad can't remember what dirt road he went up with the garbage bags. Yeah, thanks a lot, Dad.
Well, how do you just dump a body randomly next to a brush pile and it doesn't get found
I don't know.
in an area that you're not familiar with? Because if you don't know the area, what's the likelihood you're just going to be able to perfectly dispose of a body?
And just
And
nothing.
nothing's ever going to come of it.
No one's ever looked at this big, heavy-looking trash bag by a brush pile, which proves that somebody's been there, right? Because they piled the brush up. That's not something that happens in nature by itself.
None of it makes sense to me, but oh well. I don't know.
All right. Well, thank you for that.
You're welcome, Dylan. Don't forget to check out our website, mountainmurderspodcast.com. You can listen to the show and also check out our merch store on the website.
You know what? I was thinking about the merch store today.
You were thinking about it?
Yeah, I was like, I wonder what cool designs Heather's got on there now.
I like that you just sit around thinking about it.
I'm going to have to go check it out.
Bye, Dylan.
Bye.